Hello, friends. We're just getting started here. And you speak. There we go. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining. We'll be starting here in a little bit. Just got to wait for some of our things to start here. Then we're also going to go live. So I'm going to have two things. And here we go. All right. Okay, so this should be working here. I think we've got everything. We're also going to go live. Okay, so this should be. All right, here we are. We're getting live. I think this is working. I hope this is going to work tonight. We're doing several platforms here. I'm in a sweatbox in a little studio here. So thanks everybody for joining. I'm going to try my best tonight as we get started on our vacation and Second Home 101. I'm going to try my best to answer everybody's questions, but if it takes me a little bit, don't fret. I am just doing my best, and I'm going to keep trying to pop over to see everybody and keep everybody in the loop here. So thanks for joining. I have a lot of folks that are colleagues of mine at Baird and Warner. We'll get started here in just a few minutes, let people gather. Some people are going to be on Zoom. Other people are joining on Instagram Live. We got a couple people joining on Facebook Live. I'm going to try and wave at people as they come in. So hi to everybody that's joining in. Hopefully I'll be, as I take some a little water, being able to give you guys all the fun info that you're looking for tonight. So we'll give a few more seconds. And I'm going to keep trying to wave on people. This is going to be fun. I'm working off of essentially 3 screens here, you guys. And there's a little bit of lag on some of them. So this will be fun. And I'm also going to try and figure out how I make just me the only person visible here. So there we go. Technology, my friends. Love it, love it, love it. So thanks everybody for starting and joining. This is the first vacation and second home event that I'm doing. And if you see me kind of doing this a little bit, it's because I am working off 2 screens. So I've got my Instagram there. Hello, Instagram people. And then we've got our Zoom and our Facebook Live people here. So hello, Facebook and Zoom people. Thanks everybody for joining me. I'll introduce myself. I'm Scott Curcio from actually 2 brokerages. I am a licensed real estate broker in the state of Illinois with Baird and Warner Real Estate. And I'm also a licensed real estate salesperson in the state of Michigan with Cressy Everett, primarily focusing in the Southwest area. So I decided to do tonight's event. And by the way, give me a second here, y'all. I'm going to try and make this a little bit so I don't have to do as much turning. That's a little bit better. Anyway. So thanks for everybody that joined. We had a lot of people RSVP, which is really exciting. This is the first time I'm doing this. And I want to give you a little background on why we're here tonight. So my husband and I own 2 second homes and also have experience in vacation rental management, one in Michigan, one in California. So we've seen a couple different markets, and more I get asked by people, Scott, I'd like to do that too. Where do I start? And so joining us tonight, we have basic consumers, home buyers. I also have a lot of colleagues that are other realtors that have come to me and said, hey, you've done this before. Can you advise me? I have a client somewhere. So tonight's event is really designed to be a very much a 101, meaning the very basics, right? Maybe you're thinking about purchasing a second home, or you know somebody that is. How do I get started and where do I start? So this event is going to be very much like a first step, if you will. We're going to go into some detail, especially when we go into financing. Mary Gill from Key Mortgage will be joining us in a little bit to talk about that. But this is kind of me sharing a little bit of what I've learned and how our journey into second home and investment real estate buy second homes started. So that it is 7:34, I think we will get started. And for those just joining, I'm working off of two screens. So you're going to see me do this a lot, which is probably going to get really annoying. And I apologize in advance. My lighting is far better on Instagram though. So if you're watching me there, thank you. Okay, so you'll want to buy a second home or a vacation home. Where do you start? So I'm breaking this into three parts tonight, right? The first being where, literally, where do you go? And I'll tell you our story a little bit. When we were thinking about this, one of the things that we considered was, where do we want to retire? And that was what led us to purchase a home in California back in 2016. So my first advice for people is, if you're going to have a second home or a vacation rental that you are also going to use, where do you want to be? People can tell you all day long, this is the best place to go. This is buy here, be here, go here, don't go here. But if you don't want to be there, it doesn't make much sense for you to buy a second home there, does it? So first step is always going to be where. How we started that is we knew that we wanted to retire in California eventually, and Los Angeles. We have a lot of friends there. So that became our first target. And we pretty much just started by searching around on realtor.com. I personally, of all the, the major apps, if you will, Zillow, realtor.com, what have you, I really like realtor.com's interface, so that's what I worked on. And we just started poking around, getting a feel for the market, what things cost, what we need to spend. We'll talk about spending and how do you afford it in a little bit. But that was really where we started, was the where. And so real quick, I'm just going to jump in. We have a couple new people that have joined us tonight. So thanks everybody for joining us. This is my vacation and second home vacation rental 101. So just a first step on, if you're thinking about putting your toe in the water, or you're a real estate broker and maybe you have some clients that are thinking about putting their toes in the water, how do you get started and how do you guide? So for those that just joined, you're going to see me doing this a little bit because I'm toggling between two screens here. We're live on Facebook, on Zoom, and on Instagram. So thanks for everybody who has joined in those different places. So what we just went through, as I said, I'm breaking this down into three parts tonight, right? And this is going to be a very top level, top down, just intro to how do I do this if I want to purchase a second or a vacation home? And we'll dive in a future event to probably 201, maybe 301 one day. But for now, we're starting with just how do you get started? And what I was saying earlier was where, literally, where do you want to be? And a lot of people will probably tell you, oh, don't go there or don't go here. First and foremost, go where you want to go. If you want to spend time there and it's your happy place, that's where you need to start. And how we started is we started to actually spending a lot of time just poking around on realtor.com, setting up some searches, just getting a feel for what we could get, what would we get for our money, and then figuring out, okay, what do we need to spend? We're going to talk about that a little bit later when Mary Gill from Key Mortgage joins us. So that was kind of our first step. And by the way, we are going to do question and answer at the end. So feel free to pop things in any of the chat windows you see, and I'll do my best to monitor them. But I'll probably answer some of those questions as we get to the end here, probably about 10 minutes or so. We're only going to be about 30 minutes tonight, so everybody can hopefully be enjoying a cocktail or something. I have my very large glass of water because I like to stay hydrated. There you go. Anyway, so we already talked about phase one, which is where. Two is now how. Ooh, all of a sudden I got a little blurry. There we go. How are you going to use it? And I think that's an important consideration for wherever you're going to be. Will you just be using it for yourself? Or are you also going to contemplate doing some type of short-term or vacation style rentals? And why I mentioned that up front is, if you think you might want to do vacation rentals, it is really important. Again, this is step two, the how and the usage of it. How are you going to use it? And what does the local municipality or municipalities have to say about that? I'll give you an example. Near where we are in Michigan, we have a house in Union Pure, Michigan as well. Near where we are in Union Pure, Michigan, recently the town of New Buffalo came out and put moratorium on new rental licenses. And there's a big fight going on right there. So if you are in New Buffalo Township, you can do short-term rentals. If you are in the town of New Buffalo, you cannot. So know those rules. Another good example is Palm Springs. Palm Springs has a very, very detailed policy they call their good neighbor policy, which restricts the use of amplified music outside. It really makes it difficult if you're renting a house there. So these are also things, by the way, if you're going to rent a place in one of those areas, you might want to look at. So the usage of that, I think, is really important. If you are planning to do short-term rentals on it, I would highly recommend that once you've identified where you're going to be, that you take a look, you talk to at least one, maybe two property managers in the area where you're looking. Get a feel for how do rentals work here, and what should I, as a vacation rental owner, look for when I'm shopping for those homes, right? In certain markets, it might say you have to have a pool or you'll never rent, or you got to have a hot tub, or you know, if you can't sleep at least 8 people, it's going to be really hard for you to rent, right? You might also want to ask them about average night stays. There is a website that I'll point you guys to that I'm going to try and put in the comments. That is called AirDNA. You can access a fair bit of information in any market on their free versions. You don't have to pay for it. And by the way, a quick reminder for anybody that has just joined, I'm toggling on 2 screens. So you're going to see me doing this a little bit. Everyone that's been here since the beginning is like, oh my God, he's reminded us of that 9 times. But just want you all to know what's going on. So in that usage, AirDNA, I have found, is a really good platform to get some more information, but the local property managers are going to really have a great, be a great resource. So highly encourage, if you think you're going to rent it, check with them first. Make sure that you don't choose property A over property B if property A doesn't have some of the things that are going to make it really, really easy to rent, right? And also get a feel. And here's another piece of advice there. Go on VRBO, go on Airbnb, check out what the inventory is looking like, what's rented, what's available. For example, Union Pier, Michigan, I'm going to refer back to her because we have a house there. In the summer, that's a key property, that's a key week rental situation. So if it's June and you look up a property that does weekly rentals and they're not rented for much of it, you know that that property has something that's not going to be valued in the market. So study that. Right? What are they offering? And then maybe you go to another property, you can't rent it at all in the summer, it's already booked. That's going to give you some ideas. So you really want to do your homework if you're going to rent it short term. If you're just going to use it for you, you're not going to have those same concerns. But if you think in the future that you might, or you might say, oh, maybe I want to rent it from time to time, make yourself aware of those rules. So those are my first 2, right? Remember, first was figure out the where. 2 is figure out the how you're going to use the property, and use that to help shape your search. We've purchased, we tend to, my husband and I tend to make very quick purchases. We know what we want, we go at it really quickly. A lot of other people, it might take a little bit longer, right? Maybe you want to go and spend time in there. That's another thing. Once you've decided the where, if it's not an area you spend a lot of time in, I would highly recommend that you go stay for a weekend, a week, maybe a couple times on a couple weekends, get a feel for it to make sure it's a place you really want to be. Right. So reminder too, guys, any questions you have as I'm going through this here, just pop them in the chat windows. I'm looking here just to make sure I didn't miss anything. Nope, I didn't miss anything yet. Yay. Good, good. Okay. So third, my favorite part here, and I'm going to invite Mary Gill from Key Mortgage to drop in for number 3 here is the best question. How do I pay for this? Now, give me a second here, everybody, because I've got to go and invite Mary to join us here. And hold on 1 second here. You know, the Zoom is over here. So let's see here. So I'm going to, first, Mary, where are you? You're here live somewhere with me. Oh, there we go. I'm at Mary. I'm going to ask Mary to join on Instagram, maybe.
I requested to join. Can you hear me?
Hold on 1 second. I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
I am. I got to figure out how to get you. Oh, here we go. I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
I am. I got to figure out how to get you. Oh, here we go. I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
I am. I got to figure out. Okay, hang on a sec, Mary. We're going to get you live here. Guys, this is live stuff. It's good. I've got to make you, hold on 1 second. Oh, okay, I'm accepting you live here into my live, Mary. So there, we're going to have you there in a second. Hold on, everybody. Magic of technology. Where are you? Why do I not see you?
Second here.
We're live, folks. Magic happening. Hold on. There's your view. Oh, maybe it expired. Hold on. Go live with Mary. Here we go. This should bring you up now, Mary. Hang on a sec, everybody. I'm trying to bring on Mary Gill from Key Mortgage, who's going to talk about financing. And for some reason, this is not accept. I said accept. Go live. All right.
Let's try one more thing here.
I don't know why it doesn't like us tonight. Hang on, everybody. So I'm going to real quick.
Oh, wait, I think we're good.
Oh, we got it. We're live. Ah, it's working. Amazing. And I've also got you, Mary, in my, I've got you as spotlight here on my live. So I can't figure out how to do split screen here. I'm going to try and figure this. Let's see here. Hold on. Oh, add the spotlight. Look at that.
Perfect. What, am I heard on both screens? Like I'm echoing.
You're toggling like I am. This is very fun.
Okay. So I just wanted to talk about the financing part of buying a second.
Actually, let me just introduce you really quickly. So
yeah, go ahead.
That would probably help, right? So Mary Gill is one of our loan officers with our in-house mortgage company, Key Mortgage. She's licensed in Illinois, Wisconsin, Michigan, Indiana, and Florida. And so she, and I'm trying to wave to more people that are joining right here. I love the little wave feature on Instagram. It's very exciting. Anyway,
I see some of my friends coming on board here.
There you go. There you go. Well, now you're live with me, so more people coming in. So if you're joining us, this is. Oh, hold on. We're getting a little feedback. I was a little bit worried about that. Hold on. We got it. There we go. I should be good now. Hopefully, you guys can all hear me. If you can't hear me in the Zoom or on Facebook Live, would you just like put a little note in the chat? But I think we're good. Anyway, so Mary, talk to us a little bit about financing when it comes to second and vacation home. I know there's a little bit more stringent rules with that now as of 2022. Maybe you can talk about that. I know in the past people could put 10% down. Now there's questions, should I put 20% down, 25, 40? And maybe you can kind of share a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So in January of 2022, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, who are our founding fathers of mortgages, if you will, and make up all of our rules and guidelines that we all have to follow, they implemented a loan level price adjustment for second homes. Basically, what that means is they're making it more expensive to purchase a second home. Previously, it was, basically the same as you buying your primary roof over your head home, and there wasn't any increased rates to that. There wasn't any, you're not paying any points. They changed this because they considered it a little bit more risk, kind of like an investment property. From their kind of thought process is, if you're going to default on a home, you're going to default on either your investment property or your second home, not on the roof over your head. So that's why really this has come into play here. And so it has changed the ballgame a little bit because it is becoming more expensive to buy a second home. The minimum down payment for a second home is 10%. That being said, I actually was kind of running through a scenario today, and with the volatility of the market today, the interest rates are going to be high, and by high I mean between 7 and 7.5, and you're going to be paying about 2 to 3 points. And a point is a percentage of your loan amount. So essentially, you're going to be paying, on a 2 to 3% in just additional closing costs. Is technically is what a point is. So not ideal. There is a bit of a sweet spot for interest rates at a 25% down payment. And so that really, I tell people is kind of just the sweet spot. That's where that overlay that makes them more expensive is eliminated. So really that's kind of what is ideal. And I've had a lot of clients kind of getting creative ways to get to that 25% down. Maybe it's getting a home equity line of credit on your primary home, so that you can pull out the equity in order to put a larger down payment on that second home. But really, there are creative ways through it, but it does look a little bit different now than it did even a year ago.
What do you think, if you had to put it, I guess, and we didn't talk about this before, so I might be throwing a loop at you, but what do you think is there a normal kind of for your second home and vacation home buyers, do you see a normal kind of incubation period? Is it something where when you first talk to somebody, it's, oh, 3 months later, they're under contract on a property? Is it 3 years later? Like, what are you seeing right now in terms of a start to finish from the time somebody first calls you to the times that maybe they're going under contract on a property?
I think now it's a little bit different than what it was a couple of years ago, just because when interest rates were lower and there wasn't this price adjustment, people were just I think during COVID had a lot to do with people buying second homes if they wanted to get out of the primary, buy the house in Michigan or Wisconsin and the lake. I think people are a little more sticker shocked right now when it comes to financing. So I've had people kind of wait a little bit longer. So that has affected it a little bit, but I would say, I've had people come back a year later. I've had people jump on it right away. I think it really depends on your individual situation. I think it's always a good investment, whether you're renting it out or whether you're enjoying it for yourself, or both. The thing with a second home, different from an investment property, is you can't use rental income. So if you wanted to use rental income to either offset the debt or you needed it to be added to your debt to income ratios, then that would be an investment property. Investment
and when
properties
you say that, you're meaning use the rental income to help you qualify for the purchase.
Correct.
Right.
You can use it to help you qualify for a bigger loan. So that's would be that investment where they're about 20 to 25% down payment, whereas you can get away with a 10% down payment with the second home. It's just going to be cost a little more.
And what are the rates? We talked about this earlier today, but what are the rates looking like right now for second homes as of like this week?
Yeah, so this week, I did run the scenario this morning. For example, good credit, jobs, all those disclaimers, all that. It's on like a $400,000 property, a 10% down payment, an adjustable rate mortgage is going to be about 7%. An adjustable rate mortgage is when it's fixed for a certain period of time, and then it can adjust based on the market every year following. A 30-year fix is about 7.5%, and on both of those, you're paying about 3 points, so 3% additional cost. For a 20% down, same, about 7.5%, you're paying 2 points maybe. So it's about the same rate for that, but the points are getting smaller. You're paying less to have that rate. For 25% down, an adjustable rate's about 7%, but you're not paying points on that. So it's a par rate. And then 7 1/8 for 30-year, paying points on that. So really, it kind of depends on the individual situation. Of course, this is based on today's rates, subject to change. All that, but it has, it does look a little bit different now.
Got it. Well, and so I think what we learned from that is if you can get to 25% down, you're going to save yourself a fair bit of cost on that.
Sure.
On that to start. Good.
And that's what we're here to help you too, is kind of find creative ways to either, pull equity out of your current home or, a gift, or there's other ways to get there.
Yeah, I would say that I think of all this, the financial part is probably the part that's most stressful for most people, especially right now, and looking like, do I jump in or do I need to save a little bit, and we've even seen some folks that decide to go in on a property with other people and say, well, let's split the cost, like let's buy it together. And sometimes that's a cash situation where it's like, 2 or 3 or 4 groups will say, well, we're each going to bring 25% and just buy it in cash if you have that liquidity, if you have that access to funds, to kind of avoid that a little bit right now, or potentially going in and have you seen a lot of people buy like as an LLC or trying to do that?
So technically for conventional financing, you cannot buy as an LLC because you have to buy as a natural person. An LLC is technically a business.
Got it.
But what you can do is a lot of people would quit claim deed it into an LLC after closing.
Got it.
I had a question from Jenny and Felix that says, are interest rates on second homes usually more than for primary? Yeah. So that is, the interest rates will be higher on a second home. It didn't used to be that way, but it is now, just because of this price adjustment that Fannie and Freddie implemented this year. So essentially what that means is it's just going to cost more, and they're going to be higher rates for a second home or investment property. They're priced kind of like the investment property, which have always been higher.
I was going to say, and we talked about that earlier today, that kind of that changed in January this year. We saw that change because it used to be that you could pretty much get the same rate for a second home as a primary residence, and that changed this year, I think, because they were viewing it and saying that it was those were more riskier purchases, right? And Fannie and Freddie wanted to push more primary home ownership, not the second home ownership. So
correct. Yeah. And this just comes from the whole risk analysis that, you are more likely to default on, if you're going to default, you're going bankrupt, you're going to default on your second home than the roof over your head. So that's where that comes from.
So essentially they were like, let's make more money on those now, because if they stop paying, we at least made more than their primary.
Exactly.
Got it. What else should anything else folks should know now in terms of like other ways to think about the financing and the dollars and cents side?
I tend to just tell people, as you just want to be comfortable with the monthly payment. I mean, you have to consider what the taxes are going to be. I mean, the good thing is in a lot of places like Wisconsin and Michigan, the taxes are going to be a little bit lower than in Chicago.
Yeah.
So, we tell people to look at that whole picture, and that principal and interest, taxes, insurance. In certain areas in Florida, you might have flood insurance. So take into consideration that whole payment. And then I've been telling people to, you can always refinance. And so I do think that rates will come back down. When, I don't know. If I knew that answer, I'd be on an island right now, not here.
That's the big question.
Right. When, I don't know. But there will be opportunities. It's a cyclical market. There will be opportunities to refinance in the future.
So we have a question from Ivana here asking, what if somebody already has a primary residence and 2 rentals in Illinois, but wants to buy a vacation home in Wisconsin? Would that be considered a second home or a rental? Great question. And Mary, maybe you can help answer that.
Yeah, that would be a second home still, as long as you're intending, you're not primary occupying it, you're not getting or like generating income on it. Then as long as you qualify for that, that would be a second home. The rule is for a second home, it kind of just has to make sense from an underwriter's perspective, and typically have to be 60 miles away from your primary. Like you can't really have a second home that's, in your same neighborhood, because that doesn't really make sense. It does make sense, for example, maybe if you're in the suburbs and then have a condo downtown. Okay, even if it's not 60 miles away, that, makes sense. So that would still be a second home.
And is that the kind of thing, let's say somebody was considering that, let's say somebody said, you know what, let's say somebody said, I live in St. Charles and I want to buy a condo downtown. Would that be the kind of thing they would come to you first and say, hey, do you think this will fly, right?
Yep. And it would. It just, you just have to paint the picture for the underwriter. It'd just be a letter of explanation. We have this because I work downtown 3 days a week and I want to stay downtown 3 days a week. So really it just depends.
Couple other questions too. We got one. Leela writes, if you're buying as an investment, how can you use rental income before it is rented to qualify?
So you would, so if you're buying as an investment property, you would either have to have an executed lease on it, or and you can use that rental income. We take 75% of the projected rental income. Or what happens is the appraiser will take a look at what the estimated rents are in the area, and then they'll tell us essentially what we could use towards rental income. And again, we take 75% of that rental income.
Got it. Somebody also asked a question, any predictions for how the market will look in late 2023? Do you want to give your take and I'll give mine?
Sure. I mean, I honestly wish I knew. I think that is a awesome question. And I'm not, I think that I hope that it will come back down eventually and that the things will even out, but really we don't know. And so that's kind of, unfortunately, like I said, if I knew that answer, I'd be, what do you think?
You know, my take on it right now, and that's a really great, there's actually some really great questions tonight, guys. Thanks so much for participating and chiming in. This is great. And if you have more other questions, just drop them in the chat box as we're watching them all so we can answer them. And we're getting this question a lot right now. What do we think the market's going to do next year? There, you know, a lot of people I think are certainly nervous about where things are. I think also too, a lot of the housing stories are to a degree being focused in markets that have had really, really aggressive growth. You know, I kind of liken it to like a plane that's going up, right? If you're going up this steep, you're going to stall out and you're going to come back down. We've been always a lot more like this. And I think that's hard for you know, Chicago as a market. Obviously, different vacation rental markets are going to function a little bit differently. One of the things, oh, I lost Mary on my,
Yeah, I'm getting back on here.
hold on, hold that thought. I'm going to keep that going. Give everybody, stay with me here. We're Mary's coming back in a second here on Zoom. She got kicked off. So I'm going to put her back here. Hold that thought. We're going to pause for a second. Technical difficulties.
Here on Instagram, though, so that's fun.
We're still here. We got some questions there. So I'm going to jump in and answer those in a minute once you come back.
1 second here.
Dancing like there's music. Sorry, guys. Technology is fun. Stay with us. We see, oh, I'm losing Mary a little bit. I'm losing Mary a little bit here on Instagram. It looks like her connection might be done a little on a little bit of an issue here. Oh, not sure where she went to. Let's see. Hold on. Oh, there, you're back. Yay. I know it was like doing a little spinny thing for a little bit. Can you jump back on Zoom so our Facebook and the Zoom listeners can see you?
Yeah,
okay. That sounds good. Hang on, everybody. The magic of live television. It's not television, but whatever, you know. There she is. Okay, great. So I'm going to, hold on. I think I have to, add spotlight. There we go. Great. And we're back. Look at that.
Perfect.
Sorry, everybody. We're back now. Okay, so picking back up, we were talking about predictions for late 2023. Mary shared hers. I was sharing mine. So, you know, right now, Chicago, at least in our market here, and again, every market's gonna be a little bit different. I'm going to get I see some of the other questions coming up. So don't worry, we're going to get you guys. You know, I think 2023 will probably be a little bit more mimicky of, I want to say like 2019 in terms of pacing. 2022 spring was so aggressive. It was very similar to 2017 to 2013, where then we really felt like, oh, the fall is slowing down. It wasn't really slowing down. It was just going from 90 to 60, right? So I think we'll continue to see that. Generally, what we see in the spring is a rebirth. People that maybe are on the sidelines right now will jump back in. We're getting a lot of calls for people that want to make moves in 2023 right now, even despite the interest rates, because they're looking and saying, well, you know what, if I buy now and the rates go up a point or two, I'm still winning, right? And if they come down, I'll refinance. So that message, I think, seems to kind of been getting out there. So, you know, I think the market will still be healthy next year, but if we go to 8.5%, 9% in interest rates, which is entirely possible, we'll see if that'll stall people out. You know, I do think it might mean that we have more people that are looking at a move more out of necessity versus not like, oh, I would just like to move, right? Unless there's some really compelling reason. I think we have a lot of people, myself included, have very low interest rates on properties going, well, I don't know if I need to move right now, you know? So I think there's going to be a push-pull of that. But generally, we've, to a degree, sometimes bucked national trends, at least here in Chicago. We'll see what some of the other markets and stuff do. So I want to get back to answering some questions. We have one. What's the technical difference between an investment property and a second home? And Mary, I will let you field that one.
Yeah, so the technical difference is that with a investment property, you are buying that intending to generate income on it. So you're just buying it so that you can rent it out. For a second home is when then you'll be having it for 6 months of the year, less than 6 months of the year. And so you're not generating income on that. So the main benefit is that, you know, you won't have the rental income that you can use towards qualifying. So usually the benefit of it is that you maybe increase your purchase power by having more income. But as long as you qualify without that income, then it doesn't really
necessarily matter. So then you could do a second home. Usually the main benefit was that it was a little bit lower rates for a second home, and you could do 10% down, but that has changed, as we were saying, and I see more people joining, so I'll say it again, is in January of this year of 2022, second homes did become more expensive. Just because the Fannie Freddie implemented some guidelines, just a price adjustment that did make the rates a little bit higher and paying points.
So some other questions. One is, if someone decides to do a 1031 exchange, but we'll still need some loan to cover the cost, I presume that the money from the 1031 maybe gets you to here and then you need the difference. So if you are using a 1031, and for anybody that doesn't know what that is, a 1031 exchange is where you sell one investment property and then you take that money and you roll it into another investment property. So you push pause on paying any capital gains, and you're kind of kicking the can down the road a little bit. Very popular for investors because it allows you kind of defer your capital gains expenses, until down the line. So let's see. So then the question was, would that be, if you did that and you had to do, let's say, this amount to cover the difference, would that be considered a business loan, and what are those rates like right now?
So you could still do that, because essentially then that's going to be part of your down payment, and then you have to have the rest financed. You can still do that as a conventional loan. If you needed to do a commercial loan, that's going to be kind of a whole different ball game. We only do residential financing. Commercial loans are going to be higher rates, just because that's even more risk than living in it.
Yeah. And then another great question. Let's see. If the borrower has an ARM for their primary home, is that seen as a negative as opposed to a traditional 30-year conventional fixed if they apply for a second home mortgage?
Nope, not at all.
Great.
And it really doesn't impact your risk at all. Really what we're doing is just taking that payment. So actually, if your rate's lower with an ARM than it would be with a 30-year, that's better, because then you have less debt than to offset.
And then let's see, another question. Guys, these questions are great. Keep them coming. I love it. I love it. Let's see one here. Hold on. We have another question here. Make sure I'm not missing. Right. Okay, good. Is it a good idea to co-own an investment property out of necessity as opposed to marriage or business? I will take this one. So I don't know that there's a right or wrong there, but here's what I will say. If you are, my advice to any client is always this: if you are going to own property, whether it's your primary residence, investment, whatever, with someone that you are not legally bound to, i.e. a spouse, which will really be the only one, and you're going to do that, get yourself an attorney and draft a partnership agreement, right? Really, really important to do that up front. And why would you do something like that? That's going to cover you and have an exit strategy for both parties, right? So for example, let's say you buy with a friend. You paint a picture, you buy with a friend, or this is, by the way, also very good for people that purchase when they're unmarried. When my husband and I bought our home in California, we were not yet married. We drafted a partnership agreement that indicated who was bringing what to the table, what would happen if the partnership dissolved, right? We had no intention of not being together, but you never know, you got to be safe. So, and hold on guys, I'm trying to pull up more comments just to see here, make sure I'm not meeting anything or missing anything rather. So get yourself a partnership agreement, which specifically says who's bringing what to the table, which might determine the ownership of the property, who's responsible for different things, right? And then what is the exit strategy? So if one party decides they no longer want the property, what does that mean, right? Are both parties forced to sell it? Or can somebody buy that person's share? Again, if you have 50-50 partners and somebody wants to exit, if you know somebody that wants to buy out that share, can they do that? Can they do that without your approval, right? These are all things you want to lay out up front. And as an aside, that's a really good strategy in business in general. Any partnership you're going to go into, real estate, professional, make it outlined up front so that there's no hurt feelings later. Let me see any other, let's see if we've got any other questions here.
That's a good question.
Yeah, this has been great tonight. So I'm just seeing, nope. I don't think we have any others. So all right, well, Mary, you're off the hook. I'm gonna thank you for joining. I'm gonna say goodbye, and then I'm gonna just do a quick wrap up here and thank everybody for joining. So I appreciate you joining tonight. I don't know how do we take you off of this? I forget how I do that.
Thanks for having me. Here, I think I can probably.
Can you do that? I think you have to leave, right? I think that's how it works.
yeah.
I haven't done it live like this. Okay, thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Hold on. I'm going to unpin you here. Remove from spotlight. Okay, here's Mary. Ooh, you guys, this has been great tonight. Thank you all for joining. This is actually my first time doing this, and I really didn't have too many expectations, quite honestly. I didn't know if a lot of people would join, and a lot of people did, and I love it. I love it. I love it. So thank you all for spending a little bit of time with us tonight. I really want to thank Mary Gill from Key Mortgage for coming on and sharing so many great insights about different loan products with regards to second and vacation homes. I really want to thank everybody that chimed in with questions. There were a lot of really, really intelligent questions tonight that I think really helped us deliver, I hope, some good content. So if tonight was useful, please send me or Mary a direct message. If you have further questions, shoot that over too. If you are in the market and want to maybe get started on maybe making a purchase like this, I'm licensed in Michigan, so I can help people there. But there are a lot of other resort destinations, and they don't have to be, they can be ski destinations. Maybe you want to buy something in Vail or Park City, or you want to go to Lake Geneva, or you want to go to California, or you want to go to Big Bear or Tahoe or what have you. I'm just throwing out just a bunch of things. I am very fortunate to have built over my 18-year career a wide net of brokers that help my clients in other markets. So if you're watching this going, I think I want to get started someplace, please send me a message. You can direct message me on Facebook and Instagram. You can put in a little note in the chat before we hang up. And I'm happy to get you set up with another person, or if you just want to bat around a couple ideas. And if you are thinking about buying something, always shoot me a note, and I'm always happy to take a look and see, do I think that would be a good second home or what have you. Remember our 3 things tonight. 1, hold on, I got to flip back my notes so I don't screw it up for you guys. 1, figure out your where, right? Where you're going to be. 2, figure out your how am I going to use it? Am it going to be just for me? Am I going to potentially rent it? And then 3, figure out how you're going to pay for it. That's my sum up that I leave you with tonight. I hope it's really useful for you. I hope the content was great. We will have a recording of this. So if you have somebody that couldn't be here and they want to maybe get to see all this information that we shared, again, shoot me a direct message, and happy to get them a copy of the recording so that they can watch and learn. Thank you guys for joining. I'm going to sign off on our live right now and close out our Zoom. You guys have a great night. Thanks again. We'll see you soon. Bye.